Hey guys, welcome back. So we're going to try and take care of this V once and for all. As you saw in the thumbnail, if at first you don't succeed, try again. The last time we left this, I had made some mistakes with cutting the nut. Thankfully, I've got another replacement. When we get into the overhead cam, I'll show you exactly what I did and what we need to avoid this time. So I'm hoping to get this up in playing condition because where we left off, the higher strings were giving a sitar sound, meaning I had cut the nut way too low. Sorry if you guys heard that. That was one of my animals complaining about an empty bowl. So yeah, we're gonna take another stab at putting the nut in properly, using all the tools properly, and seeing if we can get this into playing shape. So let's take a look at what we're working with. All right, I took the liberty of loosening all the strings to get them out of our way. And once we get the new nut in place, we will tighten up to tune and make sure that our neck is flat before I start cutting the nut. So first off, let's see about getting that old one out of there. Thankfully, I didn't glue anything in because it was fitting in pretty tight. We just need to get it out of here. So, all right, I have the original nut out. We're going to take the new one, and you can see what I did. In my infinite wisdom, this has a rather flat track on the bottom. I thought, oh, instead of sanding the top of the nut down, which would have made more sense after I cut it to the proper height, I thought these slots looked okay. Why don't we sand the bottom of the nut down? That did not work so well. As you can see, or maybe you can't see, let's see if that gets up there and focuses. I sanded way too much off the bottom. So what we have to do is put the new nut in. I may have to sand a little bit off the sides because if I remember, the channel for the nut was a little tight. Yeah, that won't fit in. So I don't want to do off the front. I'm going to do it off the back because I won't be seeing it there. And if this is going to take a little longer than this, I will speed this up and play some of the finest music that the YouTube royalty-free library can supply. All right, pardon a little bit of the cuts and speedy ups there. I was having problems getting that to sit properly and not be elevated on one side. Turns out I was having a little bit of schmutz in the nut slot there, which is not radius, so the bottom had to be flat. I just made sure everything was flat. Now we're seated properly. So we're just gonna string this back up, pull it up to tune, or at least close enough so that we can set the relief, or just double check the relief rather, because it should still be flat, but we'll see with all the monkeying around that we did. So give me just a minute here to get this back up to tune, and then we will start in earnest. All right, we have it tuned up. I'm going to check the relief, and then I'm also going to check the action because I think a couple of these are set too low now, which may have been an issue with my mucking around with the last nut. All right, excuse me while I take this off screen for a second just to check action. All right, the relief is good. I'm just going to double check the action at the 12th, and it's pretty high, at least on the bass side. Coming in at a little over 2, which is really high for me. What about the lower strings? Yeah, the low strings are a little low too. So I can set that action. I'm just going to try and get it dialed into about where I would like it, and then we will try and cut the nut to match. Although I have trying to figure out where that's coming from. So we will take a pause here. We're going to take a look at the nut height now. I think I've got everything dialed in as I can. I still can't get the action low to where I want it without it bottoming out on the pickup. So I'm beginning to wonder if I need a shim in this neck as well, or if the nut is really high, and then we'll adjust again. But I have a feeling I think I might have a neck angle problem, and I might be hitting up some folks with a few pictures of things, and this might be a 2-part video. So let me see. So a good starting point for the gap should be 0.08, 0.005 to 0.008 inches. So let's, I've cleaned these things off and they are greasy. Let's aim right for the middle. We'll start with a 0.7 on there and see how much room have we got. Yeah, it's sliding around like paper. No grab whatsoever. So that being string 6, we're going to try and take a little bit out of there. Now I don't know how quickly these nut files cut anything, so I'm going to go just in little bits at a time. And I put the gauge away. Why did I do that? Let's keep the 0.007 out, shall we? Still way more room than we need under there. Check that again. Getting there, I think, just a little bit more. We're not going to do too much. We're going to slow down how much we're doing at a time here. And I put it away again. Guys, you got to stop letting me do that. Shooting right for the middle so that if we need to go lower, we can, because, okay, I can hear it making contact with the fret guru then. So let's put the string back on, tune it up, and see what we got. All right, guys, sorry, there's probably been a lot of cuts and or speed up situations in there. It was taking me longer than I liked. Sparky, thank you for these, but I hear what you're saying. They do require a little extra work. So somewhere down the road, I am going to be saving my bones for the Music Nomad set, which seems to be working a lot quicker. But between the combination of the Fret Guru and the feeler gauges, I think I have the nut height dialed in. The strings don't feel like they're sitting in there too bad, so I actually don't think I need to sand the top of that at all. But pardon me while I take this off screen a little bit again, just because I want to double check that action now that we got the nut set. I think this is way too high, and I'm going to have to reach out to my friends to see if I want to get this down to 1.5 at all. I guess I'm fine with it where it is, but so we have a nut. We don't have any sitar sound. We do seem to have decent action, if not the way I actually want it, which may require a shim down the road. But why don't you join me over at the regular camera, and we're going to plug it in and see how things sound. We're going to go up and down the neck and look for any buzzing and see if I actually have a playable V again. All right, we'll see you guys in just a second. All right, guys, so we're back quick. It is playing, so I've at least managed to do that. The cowboy chords are not going out of tune. I did have some fret buzz in the upper registers, especially playing acoustic, but we're gonna just do a few clean tones up and down each string here just to see if we start picking up any of the fret buzz that's up in the lower levels or dead frets. Yeah, there we go. That could be high frets, so I might have to go back and address that on the neck. The fact that I can't get the action low enough without hitting the pickup, which is already pretty low, tells me maybe I need a shim in here, but I'm going to reach out to some of my friends with some pictures and sound samples and maybe see if somebody can give me some direction on what to do with hopefully the final step on getting this. But it is playing, so yeah, 12th fret. You can hear that. So the neck is dead flat. I don't know if I need to introduce a little relief maybe, but that wouldn't make sense for the upper frets. So I think I'm looking at shim. But let's throw a little dirt on it and see what it sounds like. Yep, you get into those higher registers, you're getting some weirdness going on. Could be a combination of things, but I think the setup that I had on it before, when I didn't know what I was doing with setups, I think the action was incredibly high, which is why I wasn't getting buzz with the old plastic nut, which sat awful low. But now that I've got this nut dialed in, the cowboy chords are not out of tune. Hard to tell with distortion, I know, but so it's enough for now. It's going to have a little bit of fun. So we will be returning to this. I have a couple other videos to get done, but I'm glad I at least got to the point where the nut wasn't completely broken and I didn't have a UV birthday cake sitar on my hands anymore. So thank you, everyone. Thank you in advance to everybody that I'm going to reach out to try and figure out how to dial the rest of this in as I'm learning as I go. We're getting there better, one step at a time. And to everybody else, thank you. And until next time.